Now we come to the hard part, getting club path and face angle matched up to get the ball to do what you want. Here I want to explain TrackMan. They use basic math in terms of the XY coordinate system. We just have X here, so the golfer is shooting from here. If the path of the club path is positive, then it's pointing towards X plus. So in this case, this is a positive club path going in the direction there. If this was negative, the path of the club, the path would have been that direction. It's easy to remember if you just think of the math coordinate system. The face itself, this is plus. So if we had a 6-degree path here, then that face, it's not square to that, otherwise this would say 6.6 degrees. They would match up. But the face is slightly closed. It's only 4.2 degrees, so that's going to cause a draw spin on the ball. And then the other variable is if the path was this way, then this would be negative. And if the face was negative, it would be, let me just make this, let's say the path was, this was the 6 degrees, the negative 6 degrees, then the path would be not square to that, because then it would say negative 6 degrees. But it's slightly less closed, if you will, and that's going to cause slice spin or fade. And we need to know the numbers, mainly the plus and minus, so when I put numbers in these boxes, you can tell what the basic flight of the ball will be. Because the difficulty we're up against now is you have to get these numbers working, which you can use TrackMan or just look at what the ball is doing. And this is no simple task.
It's going to be at the point of impact, a bit closed to our ball to target line, so pointing somewhat to the left, but we're going to have a swing path which is swinging even further left. So club face pointing just left of our ball to target line, but a club path which is going further to left, a fairly big vector. So we're going to see a ball flight that quickly curves off to the right and ends up missing our target considerably to the right. And obviously the bigger this vector gets here, the more spin we're going to put on the ball. So if this swing path was even further across, club face pointing here but club swinging even further across, then we're going to see a ball that starts at the same point but quickly spins and ends up further right of our target. Draw curves from right to left, so we need the ball to start to the right of our target, so we need the club face to be somewhat open to our ball to target line, so pointing out to the right, but obviously we need a swing path to create the curve and the counterclockwise spin. We need a path that's swinging somewhat to the right of our club face here, and that's going to give us enough spin just to maybe get a nice little curving draw that brings us back to our target here, which is nice. We'd all like that one. We'd all like any one that finishes on our target. In some ways it doesn't matter how much curve we get as long as we're in control of it, and that's the big thing. There's no right or wrong here, but obviously the idea, you know, there's plenty of people which have, say, quite a big fade, but they manage it, so they play really good golf. An interesting one I find sometimes when I talk to people would be this one, where a club face is slightly closed to our ball to target line, so pointing slightly left, but a swing path which is more to the right. So again, it's going to impart counterclockwise spin, club face, so ball starting just left to target line, and the ball flight we're going to see with that one is one that obviously now, because of the swing path to the right of the club face, is going to curve and miss our target somewhat to the left. And the interesting thing with this one is quite often when I'm out on the practice tee, when people see something starting left and curving even further left, the first thing I hear is, oh, I've come over the top of that, you know, and it's just pulled it off to the left. I mean, the reality is, obviously, yes, the club face was slightly closed, so you can call that a slight pull. But to create the curve that went even further left, our swing path might have even been positive, out slightly to the right of our ball to target line. So although people feel, oh, I've pulled it, I've come over the top, in reality, that ball flight there is quite a nice in-to-out swing path, but a club face isn't in the position to mean that our ball starts in a place to allow for that curve. Again, we need both vectors all shifted a little bit further to our right.
Now we're going to look at 4 scenarios, you know, hook, slice, and then in between. But full disclosure here, if club path and face weren't enough, you have this hitting off center, causing hook spin out on the toe and fade spin in by the heel there. And so if path and face weren't enough, we have other things to consider here, but we're going to keep it simple. So if we represent the club path here, -9 degrees, then the club face is at -3 degrees, with a differential in between here of this amount. And we know that the ball is going to start where the face is pointed and then curve away from that. How much? That depends on the differential between the face and the path. Next one. This is a tight in there at -3 degrees for the path. We have -1.5, a closed club face, 1.5 degrees closed to the target line. And then we'll have a differential between those two, small amount. And we know that the ball will start where the face is pointed and curve away how much? By the differential between the face and the path. So this is a tight little fade. On the other side we have +3 degrees, so the path is in to out, not cutting across it, but in to out. The face is pointing, the face is open to the target line. It's an open club face, but closed to the path. Differential between it is here. We know the ball starts where the face is pointed and curves away. How much? The differential between them. This is a nice tight draw. And then finally, the fourth one, a hook. If we had a more severe in to out path, and the face angle is pointed more down the target line, open yet at 2 degrees, but look at the differential there, larger differential. We know the ball starts where the club face is pointed and curves away. How much? This differential, so this would be a hook.